are almost 50 scenarios of delusion in our daily life.
Okay. Yeah.
And once we understand that 50 scenarios, and then we can apply that in our daily life.
Okay.
Say,
Hold on 1 second. So the philosopher's name is Pada Govind. Is that
now
right?
the name of the book is Bhaj Govindam.
Okay. Yeah, right. Hold on. Let me make.
Name of the book is, there are two names of the book.
So that's the name of the book.
Yeah, that is one name, and another name is Hammering the Delusion.
Oh, so there is two names for the same book? Oh,
Same book.
well, okay.
So those people, those seekers who read the book and they said, "Oh, it is Hammer the Delusion," and the
Okay. Yeah.
other continued the same name. Oh,
Okay.
they say Bhaj Govinda.
Okay.
So Bhaj Govinda means recognize and realize the real self and enter into an unconditional love.
Okay. Now, what do we call what is the name of the session today? So I
Living from moment to moment with Eastern wisdom
oh,
aims at awakening.
okay.
Or you can also say in a different way for you, do not get frustrated what comes from the world, but live in a joy within.
Okay, that's a little title. Okay. Now, what do you call it? Just give it, uh, run it by me again.
Living from moment to moment
Yeah. Okay.
with Eastern wisdom
Oh, okay.
aims at awakening.
Make awakening. Okay.
So now see, one master says, case of a bird. So case of the bird is a bondage. So even if you buy a golden case, still it is a bondage.
No.
So we have many golden cases in our life,
Mhm.
and that causes the delusion. Same thing happened. The prince Siddhartha, who became the Buddha, got enlightenment, but in the very beginning, since his birth until 16 or 17 years of his age, his father created a Las Vegas and a Sin City in his kingdom. So he was offered all kinds of pleasures. The young man and the women were at his service, and he warned that no old man, no sick man should enter into that place, so that he can continue to have all kinds of pleasures. He will never think about the pain, old age, death. And he lived into that case. Now I am using the word golden case for 16 years.
Oh,
And still he became a great master. So there is a difference, and that is the teaching point. We are chasing the pleasures, and Prince Siddhartha received all the pleasures.
mhm.
So when I'm chasing a pleasure outside in the world, that causes the delusion. And that takes me away from the unconditional love.
Mhm.
Did you understand that point?
Yes.
So it means what I have to do. I have to remember what I am chasing, why I am running after. What is that object for which I'm running after? So I have to see the difference between the desire for pleasure or desire to fulfill the basic necessities. I'm hungry. All the enlightened people are hungry, so they have to eat the food. Right? Because that those essentials do not change. They have to go to the restroom.
Yeah.
They have to wear the clothes. So only difference is that they do not care for desire for seeking the pleasure from the world outside. So whatever the food is available, it should be pure and hygienic. They eat it. They wear they wear one common clothes. That is why we say orange colored clothes. So they don't have a desire for pleasure, for seeking pleasure from the clothes. But other masters change used to wear different kind of clothes. That too is okay. But I should not have a desire for pleasure. Why? Because if I have a desire for pleasure from the world outside, any object, any person, it will put me into delusion. And I have to recognize it by understanding. That very recognition is hammering the delusion.
Mhm.
So you see that, the master uses the phrase hammer as if, we have to do very tough thing to get rid of the delusion. So no, I have to awaken the knowledge. I have to contemplate and reflect. I have to think again and again. So when I think again and again, I realize, oh, this is what I'm seeking. You don't like the food, it's okay. Or you like the food, that is okay. But to crave and have an obsession for a particular food all the time, to satiate your hunger, that causes the disease. So we have to understand it clearly. It's a higher knowledge. But how that knowledge comes up, you have to write it down. First thing, when you wake up in the morning, check your mind. Does the mind reminds you, your mind is calm, and then your mind reminds you, let me do the Shanti mantra. Any mantra you can pick up. Asatoma Satagamaya, let me move from false to the real, let me move from ignorance to wisdom, from mortality to immortality. So you have repeated in your mind, it will take only 5 minutes, and then contemplate and reflect. Oh, now I have to understand what is false in the real. What is constantly changing is the false. So, like this, you repeat every day in the morning to reach to the higher consciousness. Now, see another scenario. You wake up in the morning and mind says, I'm upset, I have anxiety, I am reactive. Again, you have to do the same practice. Who reminds you? Your intellect. So, intellect should remind you that the moment you wake up, even you're lying down on the bed, you just say to the mind, you're upset, so let me repeat it. Asato ma satgamaya or sarve bhavantu sukhna. Let everyone be happy. Let everyone be in the state of well-being. You are doing it, even when you are lying down on the bed, but you are in a waking state.
Mhm.
So you see that what you are doing, you are dissolving that delusion. And this is known also as the hammering the delusion. This
Yes.
is also known as hammering the delusion. So hammering the delusion by knowledge. Basically, this means what we are doing, we are hammering the delusion by knowledge. By knowledge. It means the intellect is working on the mind. Don't forget this phrase which I'm going to say. Mind is the worst master in our life. And mind is the greatest and the best slave.
Okay.
What did I say? Mind is the greatest slave. So, mind gives you an experience
Right.
of
Yeah.
anxiety and upset, and intellect says, come on, my mind, let us do this, hammer the delusion. So, the mind is becoming a slave, a servant. But if the mind becomes the master, it can offer you guilt, reaction, upset, physical, mental, emotional illnesses, hatred, duality, conflict. It is the worst master. You look at how clear our masters have been teaching. So now during the day, you find you are upset, angry, and reactive. You remind the mind. How? By intellect. What is intellect? Is the knowledge. What is the knowledge? That is what we are learning. Either you do the practice or you change the mantra and see whether the mind goes back to the state of calmness. For example, you are talking to someone. That is what I taught you silently with false joy. You are talking to someone and argument starts. You check yourself, say no need to argue, no need to have an ego, better to withdraw from the argument. What the argument means? Argument simply means disagreement, expectation, attachment, delusion, and reaction. And you are free. But mind pushes me to argue, no, no, you are saying wrong. No, no, you have to understand. But the other guy is not ready to understand. And you are pushing him to understand. Or leave it. Or let him or her say anything. Check during the day, am I in peace, calmness, or delusion? Take the corrective measure through the intellect. So now we are in a mode of 24 by 7 practice. So whether in the morning you chant the mantra for a few minutes and then you follow the practice, and then you sit down, contemplate, and reflect. And then, yes, you are right, then you write. You write it down. So, hammering the delusion and realizing, recognize the real self, realize the real self is this book, is this text, and maybe from one more session, and after that, I will take the verse, I will translate, and then we'll contemplate and reflect. That will help us to move into the higher state of the consciousness where the delusion has no place. So we have to understand the concept of delusion and its role in causing the suffering. We have to learn the meaning and the significance of the word Bhaj Govindam. We have to engage in listening and learning. We have to engage the mind. I have to, if I don't engage the mind in listening attentively, engage the mind means that I'm listening attentively. That then I have to practice contemplation and reflection. So when you send the summary of it, you are contemplating and reflecting. And then we have to do also the practice even at once a day or maybe before going to sleep. The entire journey is to engage in self inquiry. Why to engage in self inquiry? To find what is the real self and what is false self. The false self always takes us to likes and dislikes, attachment and detachment, desire, ego, selfishness, and ultimately it causes a hell of the delusion and we continue to live in the delusion. Understand the main points today. Delusion is the root cause of suffering, and it obscures our real nature. That is why we have two names, Bhajagovindam, real nature, and hammering the delusion. So if I hammer the delusion, what is left is the true nature. So now combine the two. So I get an idea, understanding that delusion is the root cause of the suffering and it obscures my true nature. So when I remove that delusion, real nature find its place. Curtain. I have a blind curtain which prevents not only the heat but also the sunlight. But it does not mean the sunlight is not there behind. Same way, the real self is always behind the delusion. Curtain is the delusion. That is another metaphor that you can understand. So I have to simply remove this delusion so that the sunlight or the real self enters into my reflected mind and I realize. To realize that real self is unchanging. Instantly, the master says that real self is unchanging beyond all transient experiences and emotions. All emotions, all the negative emotions or emotions of likes and dislikes, real self is different. It is unconditional love. What is the method of reaching their consistent self awareness? I maintain the self awareness. When I maintain the other awareness, I fall into delusion. Why you are not listening to me? Why don't you understand? You are creating a problem to me. See, other oriented. So I lack self awareness. I lack self awareness. You know, people normally talk of, oh, after 10 years, now is the problem. I have realized your real nature and I am ready to divorce. That you did not recognize it the first time while dating in the marriage. So it means why you did not recognize? Because you were in delusion. You should have come back to me. So uh, one lady is there. She is almost 66 years old. And after having these lessons, and she said, why didn't you meet me 20 years ago? I said, then what happened? I should not have divorced. So sometimes people realize their mistake, but normally we don't recognize this delusion. So obviously, listening and learning from a teacher is important. Contemplation and reflection is important. Another thing is important. Normally, when we are sitting calmly, you read the news, same example for about political leaders, we question, oh, he is not doing anything, she will not do anything. But we don't question our false perception. I'm into anxiety, I increase the anxiety. I don't question, come on, mind, why you have anxiety? Let me understand. What is the cause? Why I'm upset? So normally people wake up in the morning and they say it's a bad morning, and actually the entire day becomes a bad. Why? Because the mind is the worst master. Once it picks up a thought, it associates the emotion, and then there is a lack of awareness, then the lack of knowledge, and we fall into the delusion and we say, whole day passes. I have to question my perception, belief. So when I don't question, it makes It makes mind its home, and then the mind becomes the master. And I told you, mind is the worst master. You can make it slave only by contemplation and reflection on these principles. And the life is going to change. I'm laying a basic foundation for this book. So basically, it is all about overcoming the delusion. So meaning of the Bhaja Govindam and hammering the delusion. Bhaja Govindam. So Govinda is also the name of a Krishna. And the
Oh,
literal meaning of the Bhaj is also means worship. So worship Krishna. That is for the primary level of beginners. For the beginners, that is the meaning. Oh, you have an image of a Krishna and you worship Krishna. Why you worship Krishna? Because Krishna is an epitome of unconditional love.
mhm,
But when you go into the deeper meaning, it says Bhaj Govinda means recognize and realize the real self. When you realize the real self, you move into the mode of unconditional love.
mhm,
So I'm just giving the meaning that it has to do with unconditional love. Where the unconditional love is located? Is it located in Philip? Is it located in Jack? Is it located in Vanda? No, not at all. It is located, my unconditional love is located in me.
mhm,
I have to discover that. But I cannot discover without dropping the delusion. It is constantly causing a way that needs to be again and again. Anytime you have anxiety, question that anxiety. Don't fall into, don't fall prey into the mind. And mind, then the mind will become the master, and mind will say, okay, let me continue to be scared to get rid of anxiety, and the anxiety continues. So, what is the point of delusion here? The moment we have an anxiety, medical science says, I'm not saying, medical science says that in the state of anxiety, a person continues to worry. Why he continues to worry? Because he thinks the worry will get rid of him of anxiety. I don't question. And when you don't question, you remain in anxiety. And then the medical science has already created a long list: chronic anxiety, PTSD, huh? And long list. Our master is saying, why don't you question? You question your political leaders, you question your son, you question your honey, and you don't question your mind. So when you question, you will find out. You will find out, oh, that is, let us understand little deeper. Very important. This metaphor example is given everywhere by all the masters. It was first coined by the Shankara, the author of this book. In a dim light, in dusk, a person mistakes a coiled rope for a snake and becomes terrified. Upon closer inspection with a proper light, the person realizes it is just a rope. Did you understand that?
mhm,
So you are walking and you see the rope in a dusk, it's a dim light, and you say it is a snake, but it is not a snake. When you throw the light On that rope, you find it is a rope. You are not terrified. Your terror, your fear have already gone. It is the delusion that causes the fear, anxiety, upset reaction. Otherwise, there is no reason. That is one way to understand. Otherwise, our delusion causes us to misperceive the reality. So your mind creates a misperception, misunderstanding of the reality, and then we suffer unnecessarily.
No.
That is what happens in our daily life. Imagine a movie screen onto which various films are projected. The screen remains unchanged regardless of the content of the movie, whether it's a horror movie, it's a romantic movie, it's a drama. Do you see? The movie screen does not change. Similarly, our real self remains unchanged despite the various experiences and emotions that play out in our mind. Are you getting it?
Mhm.
Your TV screen does not change whether you are watching a news or a horror movie or a romantic movie or a comedy. When you close the TV, oh, TV screen is the same thing. The real self does not change.
No.
And on the movie, when the movie is going, that is how one day is one movie of our life. Today I had a good day. I did not have any anxiety. So today was a good movie.
No.
Yesterday, I had events of getting upset, and I was upset. I reacted. Why I reacted? Because I had a thought. What thought you had? I had a thought about Philip. So I have a guilt. Now that yesterday was the movie like that. Today is the movie like this. Tomorrow will be a different movie. But behind that movie, real self is always the same. It does not change. I have to recognize and settle into that real self. How? By knowledge, by practice, by understanding.
Yeah.
Do you see? I say I have a bad morning, but you have a good house. So one guy told me, I said, you have such a beautiful house. Oh, that is itself. I really, I agree with you. It's a beautiful house. So I said, can you give me some 5 traits of a good house? And he spent 15 minutes. I said, is it a bad morning and a good morning now? oh, 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 where the bad? No, it's not a bad morning now. So you talked about my house, and I explained, he has a house which is only spread over 1 acre of land, 7 bedroom and 8 bathroom and a swimming pool, etc., etc. So then he smiled and he said, you played a trick. I said, you have to play the trick to your mind that causes the bad morning. I did not play the trick. I just explained you. You substituted bad morning with a specific thought which you like. But here you have to substitute the mantra, the Shanti mantra. So you see, that is what our masters are teaching. We are not teaching any religion, cult, dogma, belief, God, goddesses, they are all gone. So the process now, understand another metaphor. I'm giving all the couple of metaphors. The process of hammering the delusion is like peeling an onion. You are peeling an onion. Each layer we remove represents a delusion or a false belief about ourselves. You don't know I have an anxiety. How long you have an anxiety? For the last 50 years. Before that, I did not have it. So I take them that, can you go back before 50 years to see the state of your mind when you did not have an anxiety? What to do? You peel the onion. What is that onion? Onion is your mind. You have created many layers of the false imaginary thoughts and feeling. That is causing you the anxiety. That is causing you the reaction. That is causing you the upset. How you do it? By self-inquiry. So as you get to the core of the onion, that is our real self. That at the center, there is no anxiety, there is no reaction, there is no upset, there is no attachment. Are you getting it?
Mm.
I can bet you, if we are really attached to anything, tell me any object for which you are attached. Say, for example, your eyes are attached to to the that native structure lying on the wall. So your
But
eyes are attached. Yes.
behind?
So
Oh,
can you say oh, it's a wonderful piece.
no, I
And
don't like it. I
oh,
don't
oh, you don't like it, then throw it.
it falls, so I liked it.
Oh, also like it.
It's a voodoo symbol.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, but
Now
I like
see.
the designs of my quilt. I mean, like I'm attached to this one.
Oh, you are attached. Yes, now I got it. I
Yeah,
forgot this.
but
You are attached.
it's very interesting
Are
what
you
I
really
noticed.
attached? Are you
Yeah,
really
no,
attached?
looking at the colors and at the forms,
Yeah, color and the
it
form.
creates some physical well-being in my
Yeah.
head.
Now I want to ask you, are you really attached?
I think I am, yeah,
Okay, very good. So
which
if
is
you are
very sad.
really attached, your eyes will not leave the sight of this object.
Oh, okay.
You are looking at me now, so your eyes is already left the sight of this quilt.
Yeah.
See the fact, check the fact. Even when I say attached, now, okay, now,
I think
yes,
I like it. I'm not attached.
yes, now you are improving. You are moving from the delusion to
Okay.
distraction. This is what we need to do. It
Okay.
is so simple. People do not understand it. So now you say, I'm not attached. I like it. So I like it. Now go to the second layer. We are peeling the onion.
Okay.
So I like it means what? It makes me happy. You just told me that you like this quilt, so that makes you happy.
That is fine.
So stop attending my lessons. So whenever you are in anxiety, look at the quilt. It will make you happy.
Okay.
So it means that happiness is not the property of a quilt.
No.
It means my liking is caused by the non-thinking.
Right.
Just mind wants to become the master. I told you, mind just wants to be a master, and it is the worst master. So it just out of the blue, it says that I like it, so it makes me happy. And then I'm into anger, and reaction. It does not make me happy. So it means I have removed the second layer of the delusion. What is
Okay.
left now? Do you see? This is contemplation and reflection.
Uh-huh.
So, what is left? You are not left with any object by self inquiry. Then, what is that state? It is the objectless state. What is that objectless state of the mind? It is meditation. And then, what happens in meditation? The inner peace and the joy oozes out of the real self, and you're happy.
Okay.
Yes. And even I need not to, the moment I dislike someone, that wuju on the wall, I have to take the mind to the task of contemplation. Mind, you don't want to make me crazy. Whether I like something, I dislike something. Mind, you should not cause any delusion. And once that happens, you are free when 24 by 7. Another metaphor, you can remember all the four metaphor. Another metaphor our master used to give, our mind is like a mirror.
Uh,
It is not like it is not like, it is not a thing with the strong likes and dislikes. That strong likes and dislikes is a non-thinking. Non-thinking causes the impulsive nature. Impulsive nature causes the impurity of the mind. Impurity of the mind causes the impure states of the mind. When I see you from the impure states of the mind, I will definitely fight with you. There is no reason. So I don't see the impure states of the mind. So why this metaphor? Metaphor says our mind is like a mirror that has become clouded with the dust of delusion. I have to remove that.
okay.
I have to remove the dust of likes and dislikes, dust of anxiety, dust of reaction, dust of attachment, dust of detachment, and you remove it. How you remove it? By self-inquiry, by contemplation and reflection, by asking the question. I gave the two examples of your quilt and what falls to a like. And you see, in cases of like and dislike, you just sit down and you say, okay, let me understand in the quilt what exactly I like. It's a color, it's a thread, it's the entire piece, and your mind will start retrieving its steps back. It wanted to be the master. Now it is retrieving the step because the intellect has taken over, the knowledge has taken over through the intellect. Intellect is the best master, and intellect is the worst slave. The mind makes the intellect as a slave. How it makes you a slave? For same example, the quilt, you like it. Now you don't want to think. You say, I have told you that I like this. That's all. Don't talk to me. Now the mind has taken over the intellect. Just by thought. And every thought gives you some feeling. Do you see that? How easy it is. But yes, we have to do it regularly. And once we complete, hardly there are 31 verses of this text. And once you complete these 31 verses, and you have such a clarity in your head that then you are not at all polishing a mirror. Our mind is so we have to clean the river, so to clean the mirror. So what is that? Delusion is a mistaken belief.
Uh-huh.
Mistaken belief. Mistaken belief. Delusion is sticking to something that is constantly changing. Delusion means I am searching peace and happiness and inner joy where it is not. Delusion is a misconception created by the mind in the lack of awareness of reality. Because I don't know the real self, so I have to create some reality. I don't know what is love, so let me get attached and go to dating, go for a dating. And now in that dating, there is a sense of delusion and there is an extreme sense of attachment. And that attachment says, I love you. So my attachment is love. Attachment means I expect something. And then I got married, and after a few years, oh, I did the blunder, I did the big mistake to marry you.
Mhm.
So then I asked people, you told me that dating helps to understand each other. Why you did not understand even if you have a dating for 8 years? You did not understand the person for 8 years. Yeah, that was my mistake. I said, no, you did not understand yourself.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Do you see? That is illusion. I did
Yeah.
not understand myself. So what happened? Why I did not understand myself? I said your attachment, delusion overpowered your mind. From that clouded dust, you saw the person. And now you see the person by peeling two layers. There are many more layers. So she told me, what do you mean? I said, there are still more layers. I have already uh, understood you. And I told you that story that I have $2 million I in my bank account and I'm married. I want to divorce,
Oh,
but I want to make sure that $2 million will not be divided
oh.
after the divorce. Look at this. This is a perfect example of delusion. So people say, from where these principles you talk about, it takes a hard time. I said, no, I've been doing it for the last 40 years. And it is a play and a fun for me. I can relate these principles to you and to your life instantly. Common examples of delusion: thinking you are smarter than others. Now, see, I'm giving you a couple of examples. We are thinking that I am smarter than you. So that is why, and in our tradition, we say that internally the teacher imagines. What the teacher imagines, that your real self is represented by this teacher. So you always move in clarity, you always move with the knowledge. As a label of the teacher, you don't put yourself above your seekers. Not at all. We always see that you also have a real self. I also have a real self. Your real self cannot say anything, it is a pure consciousness. So I am becoming your mind, your intellect, your knowledge of the real self is in you. So that is why we move with the clarity and understanding. So that is why the master says, points out that thinking that I am smarter than others, the moment I have that thought, I have to crush this thought and drop it. Judging someone's character based on appearance. That also causes the delusion. Sometimes oh no, based on appearance. No, believing you are entitled to a special treatment. That is also a delusion. What is that special treatment? You should appreciate me.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't hear the last word.
Judging and believing I am entitled for a special treatment.
Yeah. Mhm.
So it means that my mind is overwhelmed, seeking appreciation. My expectations from the others, from the situation should be fulfilled.
Yeah.
And that causes the delusion.
Hmm. Right.
So assuming the worst in others' intention.
Mhm.
assuming the worst in other intention. So, because my mind is overwhelmed with the wrong intention coming from someone else. But if my mind stops thinking about it, I'm free.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
free. Living beyond our means to impress others. That is happening in the modern young people, living beyond your means to impress others.
Right.
I asked the couple in New Jersey, I said, did you buy the house beyond your means? They said, oh, here is our income. And we are paying around $3,500 per month. Our income together, income is $7,000 or $8,000. I said, that is okay. Otherwise, I will have to suffer.
Okay.
I remembered you mentally. So, no, why you will suffer? I said, no, I will tell you later. I won't tell you now. So understand that clarity. So hammering the delusion is a practical step. What is the practical? I have to question my assumption and my perception. I like quilt. I don't like that. What is hanging on the wall? I have to question that. I'm simple. I have to question, and I have to put that mind beyond the likes and dislikes. And then still I can say I like the quilt. Yeah, it's okay. But it is not causing any bondage to me. It is in freedom. Practice meditation to calm and clarify the mind all the time. Practice engage in self-inquiry.
Right.
Engage in self-inquiry to investigate your belief. You have to question your belief. Many people say, do you believe in God? I said, what about you? I always pray to the God. I said, I also pray to God every day. The second person says, oh, I don't believe in God. If you teach me meditation without God will be good. I said, well, since birth, I don't believe in God. It is your only belief. You have not seen the God. How can you say, I believe or I don't believe? It is your belief.
God can just be what you make of it in a philosophical sense.
I have to question my belief. I simply do not say I believe in God. Why? Because I go to prayer every day. That does not make you believe in God.
No, no.
It is your belief. So one has a belief in God, other has it. Do not have a belief in both are belief. I have to question before I should follow. Cultivate non-attachment. Cultivate non-attachment. That is very important. I have to reflect it again and again, and that is going to help us. So this is the first part, first title, hammering the delusion. What about the second title? Bhaj Govindam. I gave you the simple meaning. Recognize, realize the real self, pure consciousness. And then what happens? The moment you realize the real self, because that unconditional love manifests from there. It is hiding because of the delusion. So you are already absorbed into the unconditional love. How? How? Let us understand some of the ways in which we can point out in the journey, and then we can directly imagine the ocean as the real self
Mhm.
and the individual waves as our thoughts, emotions, and experiences. Ocean as the real self and the individual waves as our thoughts, emotions, and experiences, just as the waves are temporary manifestations of the vast ocean. Our thought and experiences are fleeting expressions of our true nature. Why to worry if any thought comes? Thought of anxiety comes. Oh, hold on, mind. Let me question.
Mm.
Reaction comes to my anger comes, oh, hold on. Question your anger, question your emotion, question your thought. Why? Because these are the individual waves. They will not stay forever in the vast ocean. What is that vast ocean? That vast ocean is the real self. Can you ever recognize your pleasure, your peace, your anxiety without the consciousness?
Mm. Mm.
So the consciousness is the ocean. So why don't you look into the ocean?
Right.
Why you are looking at the thought?
Yeah, and the waves are the thoughts, right?
Waves are the thoughts and
Because they
feeling and
disappear.
emotions.
They are not there.
They are not there.
Yeah.
But I forcibly create that. How I create? In delusion, in ignorance. Look at it. Mirror and its reflection, it is the same. So recognize, the recognition means that there is an awareness that I am the consciousness, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the anxiety, I'm not the reaction, I'm not the delusion. So that is how the step by step we remove this, peeling the onion. I recognize, oh, this is what I is. And the moment you recognize you, recognition of the real self is the realization of the real self. Realization of the real self is of the nature of peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. And that is where we land up. And that is what is known as the realization and awakening. Where is a big deal? It's not a, yes, so self inquiry is very important. Self inquiry, surrender. Then I offer. There is another word, surrender. Surrender means, it is taken as a negative word in US. Surrender is used, the word is used in the military. But what happens? We are surrendering the mind that is trying to be the master. Mind, hold on, don't go there, don't expect, don't lead me to uh, emotions, no emotional reaction. Please, mind, I am leaving you. That is the meaning of surrender to the emotion that we are going to apply in our journey to. So that is what I'm just laying a strong foundation of the verse of the book. So once I uh, create a strong foundation, then it becomes easy